You know your customers own your brand, right? Not you. Good morning, everybody. Ruby and I are talking about brand today. And it's true. Your customers are the ones who own your brand. If you've had the privilege of creating and building a brand for your business, once it's out there, once it's in the world, you don't own it anymore. Your customers do. So it's really important to look at it. You really understand what your brand is doing, how you're going to market, what is our mission, what is our vision, how do we see this business progressing. But oh, by the way, your customer owns it. So they're going to tell you whether or not you're doing a good job. And so a lot of times companies need to look at this with some regularity. If you look at, Apple's probably rebranded, half a dozen to 10 times over the last 40, 50 years, depending on how long the company's been around. Same thing with Microsoft. We use those as sort of platforms of brand where you can see it. IBM's done the same thing. So it's not just your logo. So your logo is a piece of it. Your creative is a piece of it. But it is, who are we as a group? How do we bring this to market? And so your employees are your brand. Your product is your brand, or your services are your brand. So all of these things fall into this category of brand, but what does that actually mean when you're looking at it from the customer's lens? What do they think of you? How are they treating you? What do they know about you? And so when the customer owns the brand, you think a little differently. Those reviews online become a little bit more important because it's really valuable to know how you're taking this to market. And if you decide you want to rebrand, meaning we want to change something, that is not a knee-jerk reaction. You want to think very specifically about how you're going to do that. So understanding that the customer does not want to wake up one morning and be jarred with what they see. They want to see it as an improvement, an augmentation of what you're doing. So today we're talking about how do you do that smartly. And I think the first thing to do is start with the company. Like, who are we? Who do we want to be when we grow up? What are we aspiring to do? What is our vision for the world? What is our position within that world? Like, what do we want to be? What do we want to become? How do we want to help our customers? Who do we want our customers to become? These are the things you can really think about as part of the process of rebranding. And then does the logo need to change? Maybe. Does the color palette need to change? Or our preferred fonts? Like, all of those things you can sort of work through as part of the process. But if you're not looking at it through the lens of the customer, who will ultimately own the brand, you might do some things that are a little offside. So just give that some thought. So it's not as though, bugs. It's not as though I'm advocating for that to happen tomorrow, but we want you to start understanding the implications of it. Because again, if you go back in time and you look at Apple's logo, it wasn't always the cute little apple with a bite out of it on the back of a phone or on a MacBook. It's been very different over the years. So is there an evolution that you have to think about? But that's a well thought out strategy, not a knee jerk. So today, use some time to really look at your brand. Who do we think we are? Who does our customer think we are? And do we want to make some changes to that are for the better, that are to make things clearer, easier for our customers? Anyway, today, talk about brand, think about brand. Super foundational, super important, and it'll make a change in your business that if you do it right, it'll go really well. If you don't do it right, it might fall flat, and that's not going to help you. Anyway, today, think about your brand. Walking and Talking with Ruby.